This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Here we snow again. Good afternoon. Welcome aboard. Lake effect snow will pile high south and east of Lakes Erie and Ontario for the next couple of days. Today's show meteorologist Al Roker.
Some places between Erie and Buffalo, Watertown and Syracuse could see up to 3 more feet of snow, and we've got an elevated flood risk as well.
Once this thing starts, it won't stop for a while in ski country. Wind-whipped snow will make travel next to impossible at times downwind of the Great Lakes. Outside the lake belts, a rain-snow mix could cause some tricky travel, especially after sunset tonight. Luigi Mangione, the suspect in the shooting death of a health insurance CEO, is now fighting extradition to New York. The 26-year-old Ivy League-educated accused assassin captured Monday at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, after a nearly week-long manhunt. Former U.S. Marshal Richard Starpoli says Mangione's 3-page manifesto may provide a motive for the murder.
This is someone who's expressed a tremendous disdain for corporate America, which is kind of interesting when you think about it, because if it wasn't for corporate America, this kid probably never would have been able to go to those schools that he went to. Yet he writes this 3-page manifesto where he expresses a huge disdain for the health insurance industry.
Mangione tussled with law enforcement as he was led into court yesterday. While in court, he had to be told to keep quiet by his attorney. Mangione's accused of assassinating that healthcare CEO on a Manhattan sidewalk using a ghost gun with a silencer. He's being held without bail in the Blair County prison. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren in some hot water today for seeming to sympathize with Luigi Mangione, the liberal lawmaker telling reporters,
"Violence is never the answer. This guy gets a trial who's allegedly killed the CEO of United Health. But you can only push people so far."
That comment not sitting well with many today. The 26-year-old accused killer had anti-capitalist views. Several left-wing bloggers have taken to social media to defend the alleged actions of Luigi Mangione. Daniel Penny's given his first interview since being acquitted at his subway chokehold trial in New York. The 26-year-old Marine vet telling Fox News why he acted the way he did to restrain Jordan Neely on the subway last year.
The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself.
And he says he acted to save others, and if he ever was in that situation again, he would do the same thing all over again.
I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt.
Despite the not guilty verdict, Penny's still facing a civil lawsuit for the death of Jordan Neely on May 1st, 2023. Firefighters struggling to get the upper hand on a growing wildfire that's threatening multi-million-dollar mansions in Malibu, California.
Rest assured, we are going to have a coordinated air and ground assault on this fire for as long as it takes.
Fred Roberts is a lifelong resident of Southern California.
This is a notorious area. The wind's coming straight down Malibu Canyon like a blowtorch. And so they're in harm's way every time there's a fire over there. It's a beautiful area, but you know, with all the trees and the landscaping, it's dangerous.
Pepperdine University had to cancel final exams as students sheltered in place.
The smoke was so thick, and just like everything was just orange.
Malibu homeowner Alex Gellis taking matters into his own hands. He's armed with a garden hose, putting out hot spots where he sees them.
The houses can go like dominoes, so one goes, another can go, and it all starts with those spot fires, and someone's got to be there to put them out.
20,000 people under mandatory evacuation orders in Malibu, including Hollywood celebrities Barbra Streisand, Dick Van Dyke, and Cher. Secretary of State Blinken testifying today on Capitol Hill about our botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, the withdrawal that left 13 U.S. service members dead following a suicide attack at the Kabul airport. Georgia Congressman and Afghan war vet Rich McCormick.
You saw the collapse happening real time time as we were withdrawing, to not plan on what airfields to secure, to make sure that we got our people out on time in a safe way, to see how badly we did, doesn't make any sense. And we deserve better for those 2,463 lives that we lost after 2 decades, after $2 trillion of investment, to hand it back to the very people we took it from.
Secretary Blinken fought a subpoena for 3 years to avoid having to testify about Afghanistan. His testimony today is before the House Foreign Affairs Committee. President-elect Trump's pick for defense secretary may be winning over some key Republicans in the U.S. Senate.
It was an amazing conversation.
Pete Hegseth is on the rebound.
He's much better off this week than he was last week.
There is some GOP skepticism about his qualifications, but Hegseth is earning measured praise.
I will support Pete Hegseth, barring any unforeseen circumstances.
And he'll meet today with another more moderate Republican, Maine's Susan Collins.
I'm going to be asking him on everything from Ukraine, sexual assault in the military, the role of women in combat.
Other nominees making rounds on Capitol Hill: Pam Bondi, Trump's choice to be Attorney General; Kash Patel, the pick to lead the FBI; Kristi Noem for Homeland Security Secretary; and Tulsi Gabbard, his pick for Director of National Intelligence.
Ed O'Keefe on Capitol Hill. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy wants to know what's behind the mysterious drone sightings throughout the Garden State. Reporter Lucas Tomlinson.
On Capitol Hill, the FBI tells lawmakers they have no idea what's flying in the skies over New Jersey.
Telling me we don't know what these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
That's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are.
There have been nearly a dozen of these mysterious drone sightings across New Jersey and Staten Island and President-elect Donald Trump's golf club in Bedminster.
New Jersey State Senator Doug Steinhardt.
If they are American assets, if they're American military, if they're American drones, and I think we owe the American people answers or explanations, but if they're not American-made, if they're not American drones, then I think we owe the American people action.
He says foreign adversaries like China could be using these drones to collect intelligence on us. Drone expert Brett Velikovich.
There's major risk to us. There's a lot of risk that they are collecting on us. These drones, by the way, they're not undetectable. I deal a lot with this in the industry. This is very easy to figure out what's going on if the proper experts were actually brought in.
The drone sightings began in mid-November in the skies over New Jersey. Still to come on the Noon Report for Wednesday. Bizarre crime in Livingston County. Elmira approves school renovations, and Corning's oldest restaurant is shutting down.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams, calling for a mixture of inclement weather conditions this afternoon into tonight. I'll spell things out in the forecast. That's coming up in 10 minutes.
All right, Kevin, as we mentioned, we've got another lake effect snow warning through Friday in ski country. Listeners south and east of Lakes Erie and Ontario could pick up to 3 feet of snow. On top of that, those winds will be whipping, making travel next to impossible at times in the lake belt.
The heaviest snow right now currently looks like generally areas south of Buffalo, the South Towns area.
National Weather Service meteorologist Steve Welch says areas outside the belt will see a rain-snow mix this afternoon and evening. The progression of precipitation could cause some tricky travel after sunset. If you thought travel for Thanksgiving was tough, wait till you see what comes next. AAA's Alexa Diaz says 119 million of us will be on the go for Christmas and New Year's.
The 2 weekends are probably going to be the busiest times. So December 21st and 22nd, that Saturday, Sunday, and the weekend after will be the busiest because most people want to be at their destinations by Christmas or they'll be coming back after.
And if you're headed home for the holidays, you'll be happy to know that gas prices are down about 30 cents a gallon from last year. Voters in the Elmira, New York School District have approved a $139 million capital improvement project. That money will be used to do upgrades on nearly a dozen school buildings. It'll also fund improvements for the athletic facilities and bus garage. Those renovations should take about 5 years to complete there at Elmira High School. A new Siena College poll shows just 1/3 of New Yorkers would vote to re-elect Governor Hochul if the election were today.
Hochul is underwater with voters, but less so than she had been. Her favorability is up by 10 points. Her job approval rating is up by 7 points.
Capital tonight, Susan Arbetter says a big reason why Governor Hochul is still underwater with the voters close is because of the high cost of living in New York.
76% of the people surveyed in this poll said the cost of living has gotten worse, and they are correct. I looked it up. The cost of housing rose by almost 6%. Price increases have gone up by 3%.
Hochul may be unpopular, but she still has a sizable lead over potential Democratic challenger Richie Torres. The Bronx congressman has expressed an interest in campaigning for governor. Pennsylvania State Senator Ryan Allmett has vacated his post to take a job with U.S. Senator-elect Dave McCormick. The Lancaster County Republican will oversee McCormick's Senate offices in Pennsylvania. Allmett's resignation becomes official January 3rd. President-elect Trump's plans for mass deportation of illegal immigrants not being embraced by some in the agriculture industry. Mary Jo Dudley runs Cornell University's farm worker program.
This means that those farmers that depend on these workers to harvest our crops would be without labor. These are dirty and physically demanding as well as dangerous jobs.
Dudley says a large-scale loss of migrant farm workers would pose a major threat to the nation's $1.5 trillion agriculture industry. Could also lead to higher food prices at the grocery store. A decades-old restaurant on Market Street in Corning is closing after 73 years in business. Sorge's restaurant will shut down at the end of the month. The owners are retiring. Sorge's opened in June of 1951 and has survived a flood as well as 2 fires. That restaurant is the oldest business on Market Street in Corning. A 30-year-old man turned his father's bullet-ridden body into police this week in Livingston County, New York. This guy just showed up at the police headquarters in Geneseo Monday night with his dad's body in his vehicle.
Very unique situation where someone calls and says, yeah, I'm here and I want to turn in a body.
Livingston County Sheriff Tom Doherty.
Livingston County is a safe place, so this stuff doesn't happen. We don't have people just show up and say they have a dead body with them and they'd like to turn in. It's not common.
Authorities have charged Richard Flegel Jr. with the murder of his father, Richard Flegel Sr. Once again, Sheriff Doherty.
You know, it's one of those things that I can imagine doesn't make a lot of sense to the family. Doesn't make a lot of sense to us, and so that's our job to determine what happened.
60-year-old Richard Flegel Sr. left his home in Irondequoit Sunday afternoon and never returned. His vehicle was found early Monday in Dansville. Syracuse University is building a new hotel near the main campus. It'll be located at the corner of University Ave and Harrison Street. That hotel will feature 200 rooms, a restaurant, and event center. It'll open in 2027. SU recently converted its Sheraton Hotel into a dormitory for students. The Capitol Christmas tree in Harrisburg's all lit up for the holidays. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro took part in the tree lighting ceremony last night. The 20-foot-tall Douglas fir.
It is a symbol of joy for all of us as we spend these next few weeks enjoying family and friends, enjoying the holidays that we celebrate.
The tree's decorated with over 1,000 LED lights and 700 ornaments that were handmade by Pennsylvania preschoolers and senior citizens. The Capitol Christmas tree will be lit up every night through January 8th. Sports is next. It's the 2-minute drill on Family Life.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, we begin with baseball. After the Mets' huge signing of Juan Soto, you just knew the Yankees would answer, and they did. Former Brave standout pitcher Max Fried has signed an 8-year, $218 million contract to wear the pinstripes. While this deal won't make the ripples throughout the baseball world like the Soto deal did, this is a huge pickup for the Yankees. Fried is an ace, and coupling him with Garrett Cole atop New York's rotation gives them an outstanding 1-2 punch. Sticking with baseball, the Washington Nationals have won the first pick in the 2025 draft. The Angels, Mariners, Rockies, and Cardinals round out the top 5. Let's go to hockey. The Philadelphia Flyers got a pair of goals from Travis Konechny, and Philly snapped a 3-game losing skid with a 5-3 victory over Columbus. Noah Cates, Owen Tippett, and Morgan Frost also lit the lamp. In Pittsburgh, the Penguins got blown off the ice by the Avalanche 6-2. And in New York, the Islanders fell to the Kings 3-1. LA has now won 6 in a row. Also skating to wins, the Maple Leafs, Canes, Flames, Jets, Oilers, Wild, Blues, and Panthers. To the NBA, the Cup quarterfinals going on, and the Milwaukee Bucks got 37 points from Giannis Antetokounmpo and also 28 from Damian Lillard to beat the Magic 114-109. Lillard scored 9 of his points in the game's final minute to wrap up the victory for the Bucks. The Thunder also moved into the semifinals with a 118-104 victory over the Mavericks. That is a look at sports.
Thank you, Randy. Still to come on the Noon Report, a midweek edition. More lake flakes in the forecast. Luigi Mangione fights extradition and gifts that connect this Christmas.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. Well, thanks to a $100,000 medical device known as the ReWalk Personal Exoskeleton, former horse jockey Michael Strait learned to walk again 5 years after being paralyzed from the waist down after a riding accident. By supporting his limbs and artificially moving his legs, the machine helped Strait return to a more normal life. And he has since taken over 370,000 steps. However, this past summer, a small wire in the device came loose and caused it to stop working. And when Strait asked the company for technical support to fix the device, he was told they did not service machines more than 5 years old. Strait was, of course, shocked. He told a horse racing news outlet, quote, "It's not fair to people like me, as hard as a paraplegic's life is, and they're making it harder. I just don't understand how they can say that after 5 years, a $100,000 machine is not worth anything. That's hard to believe," end quote. Well, thankfully, with the help of enough media coverage, the company changed course and repaired Strait's walking device. They did not, however, commit to future repairs, leaving Strait and others like him at the mercy of technicians and company policies. In other words, despite all of the promises of medical and technological miracles, the human factor still remains. In his masterful book, Abolition of Man, C.S. Lewis offered an essential tempering on all of the hype surrounding technological progress. Modern man's conquest of nature, he thought, is not as neutral as we're often told. Quote, "What we call man's power over nature," he wrote, "turns out to be a power exercised by some men over other men with nature as its instrument," end quote. And of course, the greater power that these some men have means the greater potential for corruption. Lord Acton's observation that, quote, "power corrupts and absolute power absolutely," applies, whether the power achieved is by political or technological forces. According to Strait, ReWalk's refusal to repair their own machine was just, quote, "a pathetic excuse for a bad company to make more money." But there's more to this story than just greed. There's the culture surrounding technology itself. As one consumer rights advocate put it, quote, "This is the dystopian nightmare we've entered in, where the manufacturer perspective on products is that their responsibility completely ends when it hands it over to a customer," end quote. In other words, no matter how marvelous or efficient or miraculous our technologies become, when it involves interactions or transactions with other human beings, our technologies have to be shaped by recognizing people first and foremost as the image bearers of God they are. And any technological advances without this moral framework will never deliver true care. Instead, care will just be redefined according to a new definition of humanity. This definition, Lewis thought, would belong to, and I quote here, "men who have sacrificed their own share in traditional humanity in order to devote themselves to the task of deciding what humanity shall henceforth mean," end quote. It was the Christian conviction in the first place, that all people possess intrinsic dignity because they're made in the image of God, that not only gave birth to modern medical care, but also shaped how it was to be done. In other words, untethering medicine from Christian ideas will have consequences. And the same is true of our medical technologies as well. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
Thank you very much, John. Let's take it outside a very busy Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life weather forecast for this afternoon. Cloudy with rain and fog, flipping to wet snow in the western Twin Tiers. Temperatures falling ultimately into the 30s. Windy and much colder tonight and tomorrow. Rain to snow across the entire region this evening. Quick coating to an inch. Heavy lake snow overnight tonight and tomorrow. Will accumulate more than a foot in the snowbelt areas east of Lake Erie and south of Buffalo. Low temps tonight 20s. We hold in the 20s. Near 30 tomorrow. Some leftover flurries on Friday. Brisk and cold with high temperatures in the 20s to near 30.
All right, Kev, we got a lot going on weather-wise. Winter storm warnings in effect through Friday. In ski country, the lake belts could pick up 3 feet of snow. Certain pockets, anyway. Outside the belts, rain going to flip to freezing rain and snow this afternoon and evening. That's going to cause some tricky travel after sunset. The wind also problematic. Those gusts could reach 40 miles per hour at times, and that will create whiteout conditions at times downwind of the Great Lakes. If you're headed home for the holidays, you'll have plenty of company. Rory O'Neill reports.
Holiday travel will set records, with AAA predicting 119 million people will be driving, flying, and cruising to their destinations. Good news for drivers, gas prices will be a bit cheaper than they were this time last year. I'm Rory O'Neill.
Accused assassin Luigi Mangione is fighting extradition to New York after his arrest in Pennsylvania. Reporter Anna Schechter.
And so what happens now is the Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, who has already filed murder charges, he is now seeking a warrant from Governor Kathy Hochul of New York to facilitate this extradition. She has to file that with Pennsylvania Governor Shapiro. This could delay this for several weeks.
Police say Luigi Mangione shot and killed a health insurance CEO on a Manhattan sidewalk a week ago today. Reporter Stephanie Goss.
Investigators are looking into whether Mangione had grievances against the healthcare industry, possibly seeing the killing as a, quote, symbolic takedown in a fight against corporate power games.
Mangione was captured at a McDonald's in Altoona Monday, nearly 300 miles from the crime scene. He's being held without bail in Blair County, PA. A massive wildfire in Malibu, California, has chased 20,000 residents from their homes, many of them Hollywood celebrities with multi-million-dollar mansions. NBC's Dana Griffin.
Those Santa Ana wind gusts picked up once again. 7 homes have been destroyed. There are now 1,500 firefighters working around the clock to bring this destructive wildfire under control.
Griffin says the so-called Franklin fire is so intense that it can be seen from space. There are improvements in the weather today that should help firefighters. The cause of this blaze still under investigation, but authorities have reason to believe it was man-made. Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is the latest professional athlete to have his home burglarized. Thieves broke into that home in Anderson, Ohio, during the Bengals Monday Night Football game in Dallas against the Cowboys.
Someone is trying to break into the house right now. My daughter is there. This is Joe Burrow's house.
The mother of Burrow's girlfriend making that 911 call to police. Kansas City Chiefs superstars Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce also had their homes ransacked back in October. Some NBA players have fallen victim to similar crimes. The Christmas season traditionally means a return to church for those who don't attend otherwise. But that may not be true this year. Family Life's Mark Webster explains.
Yeah, Lifeway Research asked 1,200 Americans about Christmas season church plans. Less than 40% of non-evangelicals plan to attend even once. Among those who rarely attend church, they say it's family tradition or pressure that might draw them to head to church at Christmas. Now, notably, among those who usually skip church, more than half said they likely would attend if someone they know invited them to. And that was especially true among the women surveyed. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
All right, so invite somebody to church this Christmas season. Thank you, Mark. And next at noon, gifts that connect this Christmas season. It's the focus of today's Inside Out with Martha Manikis Foster.
Welcome to Family Life's Inside Out, where we look at how God transforms his people from the inside out. I'm Martha Manikis Foster. Today, Dr. Kathy Cook is my guest for a conversation about the dangers of screens and the internet, yes, but also the continued potential for developing offline lives of our children and teens. Dr. Kathy Cook is the founder of Celebrate Kids Incorporated. Dr. Cook, would you summarize for us what you see as the most unwelcome effects of total access to the internet on children and on teens?
Well, they don't have healthy relationships with people that they see face to face. Hard to get them to really engage, and that's because they don't have experiences with that, and they're satisfied by their texting relationships. They're struggling to be resilient and to handle the ups and downs that come with life because technology has taught them everything should be easy, automatic, and fun. So they give up and they give in far too frequently. Also, a major concern that we have at the ministry is that they trust Siri and Google, and they don't think they need what I would call real authority. Authority has failed them, and so because authority is failing, they think, well, I might as well be my own authority. That authority issue is a huge problem.
Dr. Cook, the same technology that has the potential to warp development, like we've been talking about, is also often required to get through the day. So how can adults help children see beyond the screen and flourish physically, mentally, and spiritually?
I love your really healthy reminder that technology is here. It's here to stay. It's not in and of itself bad. We do have to use it at times. So we do need to help kids, young people, learn to enjoy offline activities and relationships. We need to stop, yelling at them for not being good at it. We need to stop, complaining. I like to say that complaining does nothing but change a good attitude to bad. It doesn't help our kids. So if you're concerned about the young people who are too much into their screen and they're not into the offline activities that you believe are life-giving, then demonstrate that. We need to demonstrate a vibrant relationship with the God of the Bible and a vibrant relationship with the people we love. We need to show our young people that we're sacrificing to spend time with other people because people matter. And we need to understand that they don't yet quite understand that because they haven't had enough experiences. So we need to, introduce them to good old-fashioned board games that go to a slower pace. They allow for deeper thinking and conversations. They may not ask, hey, Grandpa, could we play checkers? Or, Dad, could we, shoot hoops or play a game together? But we know that it's best for them, so we need to walk toward them and say, hey, do you want to go shoot hoops? They also need to sleep more, and we need to help them do that. They need to learn to advocate for themselves and not always expect moms and tech to take care of them.
Right. So we're talking at the gift-giving time of year. What would you suggest adults do? How would we vet the gifts that we want to give to children and to teens? What questions might you use to interrogate a game or activity before wrapping it up and giving it to a child this year?
What if I first say we need to ask questions about the children that we're going to give the gifts to?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we really need to step back and do we know the kids well enough? And if we don't, then we ask the adult children. Let's say that you're giving gifts to grandchildren. Call your daughter, your son-in-law, and say, hey, what is Jeremiah, currently interested in? If you've got a grandson who is a problem solver, then go with a strategic game that relies on cause-effect thinking and memorization. If you have a daughter or a son or a grandson or a granddaughter who are creative, then go with crafts. And, even if it's a gift card to a Hobby Lobby, if you know there's one in your local town, that would be well appreciated. And go with them to the store if you can.
Oh, that'd be fun, yeah.
Let them spend your $25 or your $7. I would also give them experiences. I would actually love for this Christmas season to have us spend more money on experiences than on toys and games. But give them experiences. Why? Because they do them with someone else. And then I'm going to go back to when I'm going to vet a game or an activity. Is it something they need someone to play with? Then I would buy that. Don't buy them something that they can isolate with because they're already isolating with their screen. So this is why, jigsaw puzzles that the family does or a board game that requires 4 or more people of all different ages is a good idea. And you can also vet the experiences. I'm a huge fan of museums and zoos, botanical gardens, presidential libraries, and birthplaces. No joke. If you haven't thought about this, I'm also a huge fan of factory tours. Now, again, Martha, they're not going to ask for that as a gift.
Right.
But you know that you would enjoy doing that with your grandkids. And then the discussion you have afterwards. I live not too far from an ice cream factory. Come on, who would not want to go?
Okay, I'm in.
Yes.
Of how
ice cream is made, and then you go out for ice cream after.
Yeah.
Did somebody say ice cream? That was great stuff there. Psychologist and author Dr. Kathy Cook on this week's edition of Inside Out. Gifts that connect. Hear Martha's entire conversation online. Check out the latest Inside Out podcast at familylife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. A storm system bringing us rain today, tapping into colder air that's going to flip the rain to snow and lake effect with high winds and falling temperatures as we progress through the next 24 hours. For this afternoon, cloudy with rain and fog, flipping to wet snow in the western Twin Tiers. Temperatures falling from current values, ultimately into the 30s. It will be windy and much colder tonight and tomorrow. Rain to snow across the entire region this evening, quick coating to an inch. Heavy lake snow overnight tonight and tomorrow will accumulate more than a foot in the snowbelt areas east of Lake Erie and south of Buffalo. Low temps tonight 20s. We hold in the 20s to near 30 tomorrow. Some leftover flurries on Friday. Brisk and cold with high temperatures in the 20s to near 30.
All right, Kevin, if you're headed out today, please be careful. Lots of inclement weather to contend with. Finally, at noon, it's one of the great debates of our time to make or not make the bed when you get out of it in the morning. I have that debate with my wife quite regularly. Well, if you don't make the bed, you may want to reconsider. Correspondent Bree Tennis.
A YouGov poll shows 37% of all Americans always make their bed in the morning. They say men do it more than women. The reason we don't is time. But the Hotel Association says if the sheets are already on the bed, that task should take you less than 3 minutes. And there are positive psychological benefits to making your bed every day. The National Sleep Foundation says making that bed in the morning has been proven to reduce stress, increase feelings of calm, and help you sleep better when you crawl into bed at night. I'm Bree Tennis.
All right, Bree, so make up that bed. And that's our world. The world we live in. Wednesday, December 11th. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.